it's like, and I look at her, it's like, yeah, like, how did you know? And the one thing I'd heard about before and I knew was true because Chad Smith grew up in Michigan.
Right.
And what he used to do for a while is the high school that I went to was there the 1 year I went to. He used to come back every year to the freshman band class, and he talked to them, give a quick lesson, sign autographs, that sort of thing. Thing is, I didn't realize he grew up in that area. So she says, "Oh yeah," it goes, "Well, Chad just used to live down there." I was like, "You're kidding?" And she's like, "No." It goes, "My daughter used to play with him all the time." He goes. She said, "Nice young man, but a bit of a shit disturber sort of thing, you know. Like she didn't put it that way, but she didn't put nicer words, right?" I was like, "That's amazing." And she says, "You know what?" She says, "She goes, I'm meeting with his mother and a bunch of other ladies that we did this when we were younger, blah blah blah. So we're meeting up for breakfast." She goes, "I'll talk to her, see what I can do." I was like, "Okay," expecting absolutely nothing, right? I was like, "Sure, whatever, fine." The next day, I'm back at her house. So I walked down to the end of the driveway because I'm going to have a cigarette, right? So I'm smoking a cigarette, and this huge Cadillac Escalade pulls up, and I'm thinking like, oh, what the hell is this? But you know, in Michigan, you're used to the big SUVs, that sort of thing, because it's a motor city, right? So it pulls up, and you know, these two guys get out. I was like, okay, what's going on here? And then Chad Smith steps up behind him, so his bodyguards get out first, right? And I was like, holy crap, you know, the first thing I'm thinking, you know? And he comes up, and of course, you know, the smart guy I am, I said, "Man," he goes, "Do you know who you are?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got a pretty good idea." I was like, "I'm sorry, man, it's so nice to meet you." So we talked for a few minutes. He's ex-smoker now, but he had a cigarette with me. He signed a drumstick for me, and he says, "You going to the show tonight?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Where are your seats?" And I said, "We're mid-bowl." And he goes, "Okay, well, when you go in, go to the will call office and give them your name because he's just been bumped to front row." I was like, holy crap, man, that was amazing. And he was such a nice guy, so down to earth, man, like a really, really nice person. So, and it's one of those things when you see him walk out, like the cigarette nearly dropped out of my mouth, you know, it's just like, what?
That's so cool.
So, just one of those things. I was very, very fortunate, and I had no idea. And like I said, I just got very, very lucky.
Mate, I'm gonna have to get into landscaping.
Oh man, it was just dumb luck. There was nothing more to say but just dumb luck because I had no idea she knew Chad Smith because she used to play with her daughter, right?
That's so cool. That's quality. It's amazing, like just the random connections that you end up making in life. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, I was very pleased, and at the same time too, it was like I was shocked meeting him for one, but getting my tickets upgraded, I was like, that's amazing. Like I very much appreciate that. So if you ever listen, Chad, thank you so much, buddy. But
He's tuning in regularly.
Right. So next up, we have another electronica band, and the band's called Culture Trusts, and it's actually just one guy from New York, and I interviewed him before. This is off his newest album, Spill. It's actually a track called Spill, and the last album he had was called 2014, so he was essentially doing 14 songs within that time period. And it was a great album and really nice to talk to him. So this is one of his newest tunes. This is Spill from his new album called Spill. You can get this on his Bandcamp right now. Dig this.
I just put myself up front until this all makes sense. The clearer that it gets, a new illusion just falls. I'm running from the clock tower. I'm funneling the last reserve on salaries that won't protect and sentences that don't connect. I'm calling out the messenger, tell 'em I'm doing fine. I'm just never sure what's wrong. I don't ever wanna die. I don't ever wanna die. I just fold myself up tight until I disappear. The ones I thought I lost were never with me to start. I won't ever learn to fly. I just push myself up high until I float away. The neighborhoods I pass can never touch me. I'm
Right on. That was Culture Trust with Spill, and that's off his new album Spill, which is on his Bandcamp. You can get that right now. But yeah, great tune. I mean, I love his vocals, and it's got such the melodies in it. Well, mainly the undertones. Like it just sounds so good, and it sounds like a lot going on, but he makes it sound so full and. Like you can actually follow it without essentially getting lost. I'm not sure like how else to put it.
Yeah, definitely. It's got that kind of dissonance. It's got not so much the vocal, but the rest of it's got a kind of Radiohead vibe, hasn't it? Like Kid A and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It's melodic, but not in a kind of classical melody way. It's loads of different things coming together, and they just make this kind of noise that's tuneful. It's really cool. I love stuff like that.
Exactly. And I know it just jumping back here to Black Sabbath really quick. I got lucky both times I saw him because I saw Black Sabbath because what's his name? Geezer Butler. Is it the drummer?
Yeah.
Okay, so Geezer Butler hadn't had that argument with Black Sabbath yet, so I saw him play with him because there was a couple times after the show I saw that Mike Borden, who was originally from Faith No More, was taking his place.
Yeah, that's right. Because on the reunion when I saw them, it was someone else. I can't remember even who it was.
It probably was Mike Borden, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can't remember.
If the guy had like,
because that one that I missed, that was one of the last ones they did with Geezer Butler, and again, that's like, I don't know why I didn't go to that gig.
yeah. I got to see that, thankfully. So
awesome.
But the reason why I brought that up too is, just pick the next song real quick. Is when Ozzy was doing the introduction to the whole band, when they got to Tony Iommi, man, the crowd wouldn't stop, and like he was kind of looking like he was like in shock. He couldn't believe it because the crowd would not stop cheering him on.
Awesome.
And at the very end of the show, it's always my favorite because Ozzy, we know, is the king of cheese, right?
Yeah.
And he says, like, "Great, no, thank you for coming out because we love you all. But remember, man, if you've been drinking and doing drugs, don't be stupid. Take a effing cab home." I'm just dying laughing because that was awesome. This classic cheesy Ozzy, but awesome. Puts a quick message out there as well, right?
Absolutely. Don't drink and drive. Smoke and fly.
But the point being with Mike Borden is Mike Borden was originally part of Faith No More, and Faith No More I listen to, is still one of my favorite bands, and with that, things didn't really do a whole lot of research on Mike Borden, so I'm not sure if he was ever like a studio drummer, but he potentially could have been, just because Black Sabbath's not the only band he filled in for, because he filled in for Korn as well. I mean, I've seen Korn many times, and there was only the one time where Dave Silveri wasn't drumming because at that time he had like a wrist problem. He couldn't drum for more than about 5 seconds before his wrist went numb.
All right.
So they replaced him, and this was on the tour, the Sick and Twisted tour, which is for their album Issues. Mike Borden was filling in, and Mike Borden's a great drummer. So when I saw him, I was like, "Holy crap!" I was like, "Mike Borden, Faith No More," and my concert going by is like, "Oh yeah, that's right, cool, right on." And some of the people like, "Who's Mike Borden?" Is like, "You're kidding, right?" Like, and he has not changed in years. He looks exactly the same as he did in Faith No More. He's a short dude, got black dreads, like super long, and he's got the same goatee and everything he's had for like the past like almost 30 years. So you look at a picture of him now, he might look a little aged, but looking for Faith No More, man, there's no mistaking Mike Borden at all.
Legend. Do you know, the funny thing is, when I saw Black Sabbath, it was an all-day thing in Hyde Park in London, and on the same bill was Faith No More, Soundgarden, Motorhead was on it. Motorhead were on quite early on because I think Lemmy was quite ill at the time.
Right.
In fact, Motorhead's another one of those bands where, because I made the mistake back in the day with Black Sabbath, I saw Motorhead probably about 15 times because every time I was like, it's probably going to be the last time I see them. And then somehow he lived to, 70 odd. Was he 70 or 69?
I think it was 79. I think he was in his 70s.
Yeah, he was old.
Yeah.
Still going. But yeah, like...
Not old, I'm 37. Why can't I just call you man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mad. But yeah, I remember seeing him when he was like, I don't know, he must have been 55 or something. I was like, he's not going to make it to the 60. And then he got to 60, so he's not going to make it to the 65. And you keep going and seeing him. But yeah, I have this complex now because I missed Sabbath that time and I was fortunate enough to see them all those years later. But yeah, Faith No More on that same bill, which is cool. That was a really good day.
Well, on their album, their first full-length album, because they had the EP before The Real Thing, which is their first full-length. And on that album, they actually do cover War Pigs at the very end, the very last song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Class.
So
that's a sign of a good band.
So there you go. So but you know what, Mike Patton is just one of those guys. That guy has an insane vocal range. I mean, he can do so much, and like all respect to him, like, he's just one of those guys. He's got so many side projects, like Tomahawk and Mr. Bungle, and like there's so many of them, right? The Fantomas, man. It's Mike Patton. The guitarist is Buzz from the Melvins. Got Dave Lombardo from Slayer. And the bassist is a good friend of his, Trevor Dunn, and Trevor Dunn has done all the side bands with him. So Mr. Bungle, Tomahawk, all those. So, and Trevor Dunn's a great bassist, but he's the only kind of no name in the Fantomas band. But they have a bunch of albums, and they have like 2 or 3 albums, and they had an album called Fantomas and Melvins. So it was a collaboration album. And the one album they have is my favorite. It's called The Director's Cut, and it's essentially it's a cover album, but they cover like horror tune covers. The only one that's not a horror tune on there is The Godfather.
Oh, brilliant!
So it's their spin on it, but they do Rosemary's Baby. They do Omen. There's a lot of good tunes, and it just like I said, his vocal range is just unbelievable. And the coolest thing is there's a tribal chant on one of the songs. I can't remember which one, but a buddy of mine, when he was going to taking music classes years ago too, his teacher brought Fantomas in and said, "Listen to this." And he goes, "This is Mike Patton. and this is the actual tribal chant, and he nailed it, absolutely nailed it.